Prophet, peace be with him. I love this hadith filled with hope and positive thinking. The Prophet said in Sahih Muslim, إِنَّ اللَّهَ جَمِيلٌ يُحِبُّ الْجَمَالِ. God is beautiful and He likes the beauty. So don't make your wife's hell if she wants to beautify herself. We do that sometimes. And our homes have to be rigid with a specific color, and our homes have to be this and have to be that, and we have to prevent ourselves from all kinds of beauties in the name of Islam. In the name of Islam. No, God is more beautiful, more embracing that you can imagine. Actually, I love this hadith. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ أَنْ يَرَى أَثَرَ نِعْمَتِهِ عَلَى عَبْدِهِ. Allah likes to see the impact of His good blessings on His people. I love to see people looking nice, mashallah. When I see a sister looking nice, I say, alhamdulillah, inshallah, Allah loves her, and she is trying to dress in the best possible way. That's what the Prophet wanted her to do. So, this is some Muslim thing that you have to be rigid, you have to be serious, you have to be little caring for yourself, and all of this stuff. No, don't do that. Okay. A warning from 3 problems. I would warn you from 3 problems when it comes to the science of hadith. 3 problems that you have to be careful. Number 1, the extremism of exclusivists. This is exactly what Imam Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam said in the 12th century. He called it تحريف الغالين وأهل الغلو الذين يبعدون الإسلام عن سماحته ويسره ووسطيته. Those extremists who sort of divert Islam from the most important characteristic in it, that is its ease, moderation, and accessibility. So if there is a hadith that seems to make your life sound impossible, like I came across this hadith where it says, it's mawdu' by the way, it's in Imam al-Mundhir's book. It says, he who laughs with his full mouth, God will fill his mouth with fire for 70 years in hellfire. Interesting. Sister, don't laugh. That's mine. Don't do that. Don't do that. So 70 years in hell for the laughter and 30 years for a smile in hellfire. I'm saying, that's what it says. It's contrary to this samaha, this like looking good, like looking approachable samaha. I love this statement. But also, the Prophet said tabassumuk, to smile. What about the hadith narrated by Ibn Mas'ud? Look at this, listen to this hadith. كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يجلس مع صحابته على أريكته فيضحك حتى ينقلب على قفاه. Salam is smiling. He liked this hadith. The Prophet would sit on his mattresses along with his companions, in the mosque, and he would laugh sometimes so much so that he would fall on his back because he could not control himself. I'm serious. So you have these Muslims running around. Don't smile. Astaghfirullah. You're really smiling. Sister, stop. We have to be jaddir and serious, because by being serious we think about God all the time. But say subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. I say subhanallah, brother. But the Prophet ﷺ welcomed Sahaba, companions, who read poetry in his presence. Poetry. It was not Quran. It was poetry. And the Prophet did not feel angry. Sahaba would play with their arrows like little toys in the mosque, and he would watch them, and he will have Aisha watch them, his wife, and never a problem. Again, as I said, he would laugh and he would fall on his back, and never a problem. Who is this Muhammad that they are talking about that I don't know? A rigid, tough guy that. And the Prophet said exactly about that. إياكم والغلو في الدين فإنما هلك من كان قبلكم بالغلو في الدين. Be aware of the dangers of extremism in religion. Nothing destroyed those who have come before you except when they became extreme in matters of their religion. Beautiful. But this is also in line of a verse in the Quran, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, the Last Supper, 77. لا تغلوا في دينكم غير الحق. Do not turn your religion to extreme beyond what is right and what is authentic. So don't overdo it. And here it is, word by word. So that's number one that we have to think about. There's so many Muslims. You know, a Muslim stood up. Someone called me 2 days ago on Friday. Said, Brother Yahya, please call me back right away. I'm in anxiety. I might end up in the hospital. So I called the guy, Assalamu alaikum, doctor. So what's going on? Brother, I just came out from the worst Friday sermon I have ever heard. What? The whole Friday sermon, 40 minutes, about we should not read Quran on the soul of the deceased, the dead. Because if you do that, you are going to hellfire. And if you make dua for the deceased, you go to hellfire if you pray for them. I swear. I said, who is this Imam? When I discovered who he is, obviously he's not an Imam, he never studied Islam, he never studied Hadith, but he is self-proclaimed Imam. For 40 minutes telling his people, you cannot read Quran on the soul of the deceased, and if you pray for the deceased, you go to hellfire. It's contrary to Quran and to Hadith, and to this reason in your mind. The Prophet said one of the great things you can do for a deceased, is to what? Is to pray for them till you can no longer pray for them. So it's contrary to Hadith. Okay, so people are really becoming too extreme in the way they speak. This concept of bid'ah, again, the way Muslims use it sometimes, everything that does not sound right according to them becomes absolutely unacceptable when they don't understand that bid'ah in Islam. Let's say a few words about it. Bid'ah is anything that is new, that never was acceptable. And ulama have said that bid'ah here refers to anything that was added to rituals. So if the Prophet prayed Dhuhr 4 rak'ahs, we don't make it 5. And if the Prophet read Surah Al-Fatiha for the rak'ah, you don't decide to just do any prayer. The Prophet did Fatiha, you do Fatiha for the prayer. So the Prophet prayed in a specific way, I pray like him. But he said, pray the way you saw me praying. So I honor that. But once you finish with your salah, it's out of rituals. There's nothing called bid'ah about general practices of life. The problem is when those new practices are doomed to be a part of the rituals, that becomes a problem. See where I'm coming from? But otherwise, it's okay. So after salah, can you say to your brother, Taqabballah, may God accept your prayer? Yes, of course you can. You are praying for his salvation. You pray for him, for God to accept his or her prayer. What's wrong with that? No, but the Prophet, peace with him, never shook hands. Who said that he never shook hands? So now we assumed that we know all what the Prophet did, and whether he did not shake hands, which is not the truth, by the way, because he did shake hands. But even if he did not, once you finish salah, you can do whatever you want. And basically you're shaking hands. Actually, there's a hadith of the Prophet, peace be with him. He said, every time two Muslims meet and shake hands, their sins fall from them the way dust fall from leaves of a tree when they touch each other because of wind. So I said, keep shaking hands. My sins are falling from me. Actually, the story says, كانت تفرقهما نخلة فيلتقيان فيتصافحا. Two companions are walking. As they walk, a trunk of a palm tree meets them, or they meet one. So one goes from this way, one goes from this way. They meet again. They shake hands. Keep shaking hands. Why is wrong? Now, there's people who make this word bid'ah and use it and abuse it in a way that turns people off. The second one is possible corruption and manipulation of hadiths for specific agendas of certain people. Now listen to this. they not only manipulate, they corrupt, meaning they add things the Prophet never did or said. Now listen to this hadith. That's really, really, really mawdu'a, fabricated. The Prophet said, meaning he never said it, but it said that he said, شاوروهن وخالفوهن. Consult with your wives, but do exactly the opposite of what they tell you to do. It's hadith, but it's fabricated. He never said it. Obviously, someone wanted to make sure that women have never listened to. It's there, it's there. And believe me, I heard this from the Grand Mufti, I forgot of what town in Afghanistan. The Imam telling his community, how do you do it? By the Sunnah of the Prophet? When you go home, consult with your wives and do exactly the opposite of what they want you to do. With the Prophet, what are you talking about? Actually, the Prophet, we know, he consulted Khadija for how many years till she died? 25 years. 25 years. And every time her counsel was always important to him. She died, he married Aisha, he counseled Aisha, even in matters of economics and financing and this and that, he listened. He had an attentive ear, amazing ear. So where does this come from? Corruption, manipulation for the agenda of someone. What about this other hadith? لا تعلموهن الكتابة ولا القراءة. Wallah, it's there. Don't teach them how to read and how to write. Women. It's there. So what, you wonder where Taliban got that from? It's there. It's written in books and in newspapers and people listen to that and accept it. But this is the opposite of what the Prophet said in an authentic hadith. And it's in the books. It says Sahih. In Bukhari and in Muslim, in Tirmidhi, in Nasa'i. Talab al-ilmi, acquiring knowledge, is an obligation upon every female and male. What do you do with that? Why would you overlook authentic and listen to God knows who said what about women not being educated? Listen to this crazy hadith. Al-wardu khuliqa min araq al-nabi. You know what I say that? Roses are created from the sweat of the Prophet Muhammad. Interesting, good science. I'm serious, it's there, it's in books that Muslims read. I said, brother, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, thanks be to God, we have a great Prophet. Even from his sweat, roses were born. And we believe that. And we think it's good for the Prophet that his sweat gave birth to roses and to flowers. We believe you allow. It's laughable. It's sad. It makes me cry. This stuff is someone, by the way, you know where this came from? This came from the 17th century. 17th century Egypt. This specific center. We know where it came from. But it became hadith and imams use it. Okay. Then you have this wrong interpretations of different cults. We need to finish. I know, I promise, my God, in 10 minutes, I promise you. 7 guidelines for the right understanding of hadith. 7 guidelines. Number 1, understanding in light of the Quran. What does this mean? Very clear. If a hadith contradicts what the Quran says, it is not an authentic hadith, period. I don't care who said it. So this hadith that God created the heavens and the earth for Muhammad, where does it come from? There's nothing in the Quran. It contradicts the Quran. What about the statements that we hear from so many Muslims? Muhammad is the light of the heavens and the earth. In Surah 24, it says, God is the light of the heavens and the earth. And Muhammad said, do not praise me the way some Christians praise Jesus, son of Mary. Don't make me look like Jesus. I'm not. I'm just a human being like everyone else. So Muhammad becomes the light of the heavens and the earth, and we accept that. So if it contradicts the Quran, it is not in Islam. The hadith I mentioned, consult with them, but go the opposite way. It contradicts ayah 233 in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, chapter 2. The Quran says, وَتَشَاوَرْ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا. That if you and your wife are about to separate, there has to be tashawur. There has to be consultation and mutual agreement. There's a hadith that says, La zakah, there's no zakah in anything, there's no charity given. Zakah, Muslims know that specific way of giving charity to the poor. There's no zakah in anything that is green. That you should not give zakah for agricultural products. There's a hadith that says that. That actually contradicts the ayah in the Quran in Surah An'am, ayah 141, where the Quran says, وَالزَّرْعَ وَالزَّيْتُونَ وَالرُّمَّانَ وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ. The Quran gives you specifically that you have to give zakah, charity, on zara, on any kind of planting, on any kind of agriculture product, and zaytun and olive, and so on and so forth. So where did this hadith come from? It contradicts the Quran. Listen to this. Inna abi wa abaka finnar. The Prophet said, my father, meaning his father Abdullah, and this person he was talking to are in hellfire. So this man said, according to this weak hadith, not weak, this is weak hadith.